August 30th, 1945. Tokyo was no city, but a graveyard of ash. Its streets hardened into brittle rivers of dust, broken only by the skeletal remains of homes that once echoed with laughter, while the imperial palace loomed like a ghost over a nation that had surrendered less than 2 weeks earlier. Civilians expected the arrival of American troops to bring humiliation, violence, perhaps something even worse. For years of propaganda had told them the enemy were monsters who killed children without mercy. Yet when the first jeeps rolled through the smoke-stained ruins, what appeared were sunburned, young men in oversized khaki uniforms, sweating in the late summer heat, pockets bulging with strange treasures, chocolate bars, tins of Spam, sticks of chewing gum items. Children noticed first as they watched from alleys, barefoot and hollow-eyed, their mothers pulling them back in fear, while old men muttered about disgrace, though hunger made curiosity stronger than suspicion. Posters had painted Americans as horned demons. Rumors insisted they would poison wells and enslave families, yet these soldiers moved through the ruins quietly, almost awkwardly, rifles slung loosely as they stared at the devastation. And one wrote in his journal, "Tokyo looks like a moonscape. I thought I'd be hated, maybe killed. Instead, they just stare. Too many hungry kids." Hunger shaped everything. Rations had fallen below 1,500 calories. Rice was scarce. Families boiled weeds and acorns to survive. And children fainted in school. So, when a young American private stopped his jeep, knelt beside a little girl clutching a broken doll, and offered her a chocolate bar, her mother gasped in disbelief as the child sniffed the unfamiliar sweetness, tasted it, and laughed a sound soft and fragile, yet powerful enough to ripple through the ruins. Soon other soldiers followed, handing out powdered milk, gum, Spam slices. No one knew how to cook, cracking the fear that had sealed the city for years. Mothers cried in quiet humiliation. Fathers turned away ashamed that survival now came from the enemy. But children, less burdened by pride, ate eagerly, chewing gum until it stuck to their hair, licking chocolate from their fingers, discovering a sweetness they had never imagined. Some civilians called it shameful, believing accepting food was bowing to invaders. But hunger bends pride quickly, and the Americans, guided partly by instinct and partly by emerging SCAP policy, continued to feed the children, unknowingly beginning a wave of food aid that would reshape Japan's recovery. Stories spread quickly. A girl treasured her gum like a jewel, tucking it behind her ear to reuse it. A grandmother boiled Spam for hours, thinking it was raw pork, furious when it dissolved. Families attempted to fry powdered milk like pancakes, scraping burnt remnants from pans, and children tasted sugar for the first time, describing it as eating light, small moments that softened, the image of the enemy. Yet contradictions remained. How could hands that dropped firebombs also offer milk? Hiroshima and Nagasaki's wounds were fresh, their shadows still etched into stone, and parents wrestled with that paradox even as children chased jeeps for candy. American soldiers faced their own emotional conflicts. Men who had lost friends in battle now fed the children of former enemies, some writing home that handing out food broke them more than combat, because it forced them to face the humanity war had buried. By late 1945 and into 1946, famine threatened millions, so MacArthur ordered food aid at all costs. Wheat, milk powder, and relief shipments poured in. School lunch programs were established, and by 1947 millions of Japanese children lined up daily for bowls of stew and warm bread, foods foreign but life-sustaining. Parents felt pride erode as they accepted these meals, but children grew healthier, taller, stronger, and memories of these lunches became part of their childhoods. Civilians began exchanging nods with soldiers, then words, then shy smiles, while children wrote thank you notes in shaky hiragana to the Americans who fed them. Trust remained slow, complicated, tinged with grief. Many could not forget the firebombings, but daily acts of nourishment created new spaces where conqueror and conquered met not in fear, but in shared survival. Humor continued to ease the wounds. Children stuck gum to their foreheads, grandmothers tried to eat bread with chopsticks, and kids traded candy for marbles, small absurdities that proved life could bloom even in ruins. As Japan rebuilt, wheat rolls, noodles, and bread rooted themselves in the national diet, symbolizing not cultural loss, but transformation. And veterans later recalled the faces of starving children with more emotion than any battlefield memory. By the early 1950s, as Japan's economy began to rise, adults who had once been those hungry children carried with them the bittersweet memory of accepting food from the very nation that had devastated their cities, a contradiction they lived with, but also a bridge that helped shape the post-war alliance. In the end, the story of occupied Japan is not one of simple victory or defeat, but of paradox, where kindness rose from destruction, where a spoonful of milk or a square of chocolate carried more power than any weapon, and where children, unburdened by hatred, became the first ambassadors of reconciliation, proving that even in the ashes of war, the smallest acts of compassion can reshape the future of nations. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.